An important part of personal health, or let's just say life in general, is knowing yourself, knowing your truths, facing your shadows, and being content about where you're at in life, no matter the challenges that you face. Contentedness comes from the process of dealing with things, not just putting on a brave face and saying, "I'm fine." Yeah, it's easier said than done though. Traditionally, a truth bomb is when you say something that's bluntly honest. And done well, it can be both enlightening and provocative. It symbolizes the ability to drop a significant or hard-hitting truth that might be uncomfortable but eye-opening for the intended target. But I want to take this concept a little further because we don't always have someone there to provide that constructive criticism. Sometimes we need to rely on our own ability to diffuse the bomb ourselves. I dare to argue that men struggle with this the most. Although generations are changing, there is still an inherited lack of openness and honesty about our feelings. I consider myself to have pretty good emotional intelligence, and I value my ability to communicate my feelings with those close to me. But I find myself at times preferring to just bottle it up and brood on it. In fact, the more I bottle it up, the more stressed and exhausted I become, and the less I feel like talking about it. And so a vicious cycle begins. A truth time bomb is something then that builds up. It's when you ignore some of the issues in your own life, whether they're fitness, diet, stress, or destructive behavioural patterns that can arise from a combination of all of these. If you don't find ways to diffuse that truth bomb, it can literally blow up in your face. Actually, I'd suggest that out-of-character behaviour is not a cause. It's in fact the first sign of a ticking time bomb. Whether at home or at work, if you ever hear someone say, "That's a little out of character for you," then it's probably time to take a step back and ask yourself why. The challenge is, we don't always have someone to point out the landmines that we lay for ourselves. We don't always have the bomb squad at our disposal to disarm and save us. We need to learn how to recognize the truths within ourselves, to call out the lies hiding in plain sight for what they are. Perhaps the best way to recognize these out-of-character moments is through journaling. By locking in a minimum of 15 minutes each morning and 15 minutes each evening. The following is really just a basic structure that I've developed for my own journaling, but use this to help develop your own with some of your own personal tweaks. See if you can identify which part will help us to actually recognize the out-of-character behavior and to alert the bomb squad. So let's start with the morning journal. Allow about 15 minutes as early in the day as you can. First, start your day by writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. This sets a positive tone and can shift your perspective to one of appreciation, particularly when you get up on the wrong side of bed. Secondly, write your intentions for the day. Outline what you would like to achieve today, focusing on just a few key priorities. Otherwise, it can start to overwhelm you if you focus on too much. Also note how you want to behave or react in certain situations and personal qualities that you want to embody. Thirdly is affirmations or visualization. Use a few minutes to just visualize the way you want to react through the day and how that makes you feel. This helps to reinforce a positive self-image and aligns this mindset with your objectives. And then fourthly, some brief planning. Note down a simple, time-structured plan for tackling your critical tasks. It's also helpful to identify any challenges that might crop up. Think about how you'll handle them and how you can still tackle those key tasks by the end of the day if that happens. Some people just do journaling in the morning like this, but I think making time for 15 minutes of journaling in the evening is just as important. But it's a slightly different focus. So Firstly, just reflect on what you've accomplished and what was challenging throughout the day. This helps to acknowledge your successes and to understand any difficulties that have cropped up. Secondly, analyze your reactions and behaviours. Consider any moments during the day when your reactions or behaviours were out of character or not in alignment with your intentions. Think about the triggers and what might be underlying these responses. Yep, this is the key to identifying the potentially explosive truth time bomb in the making. Thirdly, write about what you've learned from the day and how you can improve on these insights going forward. Finally, end by jotting down a few things you were thankful for throughout the day. Note down what made you the happiest and what you're looking forward to tomorrow. This can help mitigate stress before bedtime and foster an overriding sense of contentment. You'd be amazed how getting stuff off your chest gives you a much better sleep, and lack of sleep really is a key contributor to that vicious cycle of exhaustion and stress. At first, journaling might seem a lot to take on twice a day, and when you first start, it'll probably take more than 15 minutes each time. But like anything, it's a skill which quickly gets easier, and you'll soon find that you're able to slip into this mode of thinking. In fact, you'll start to look forward to it, and like missing your morning coffee, you'll really feel it when you skip it. Learning to know ourselves doesn't have to be a huge burden, a journey of self-discovery, a pilgrimage into ancient traditions, and countless dollars spent on self-help courses. It is simply learning to talk to yourself through the art and the practice of writing. But when you can, be that person who asks your mates with total sincerity how they're really doing. If you usually meet up with friends in a larger group, just find time for one-on-ones. Grab a coffee or a beer. Go for a walk or a run, and don't be afraid to open up, and don't be afraid to ask, and make sure you listen. So tell me, how are you?